In the annals of history, the origin of football is often debated, yet one thing remains constant. It's a game that has captured hearts across generations and continents. Imagine, if you will, the ancient Chinese playing a football-like game called Cuju over 2,000 years ago. Even the Romans had their own version, Harpastum, a game of speed and agility. Yet the game, as we know it today, truly started to take shape in the mid-19th century. In the green fields of England, the Cambridge Rules of 1848 were penned, marking the first standardized rules of the game. They were simple, clear, and laid the groundwork for modern football. Just 15 years later, the establishment of the Football Association in England in 1863 set the stage for the sport's future. It was a defining moment that brought structure and order to a game that was already beloved. Thus, from ancient civilizations to Victorian England, the beautiful game we know today was born. Imagine a time when international football was a novel concept. Such was the case in 1872. Our story takes us back to an era when the beautiful game was still in its infancy. The idea of countries competing against each other on the football field was unheard of, yet intriguing. This was the year that football took a giant leap forward, as England and Scotland embarked on negotiations to participate in what would become the first ever international football match. The discussions were not smooth sailing, as both nations had their unique interpretations of the rules. However, their shared passion for the sport was a common ground that helped them overcome these differences. When it came to the venue, the decision was unanimous. Hamilton Crescent in Partick, Scotland, a cricket ground known for its lush green field and spectator-friendly design, was chosen. It was a fitting location for an event of this magnitude, as it promised a level playing field and an atmosphere that would resonate with the spirit of the game. As for the date, it was agreed that the match would be held on the 30th of November 1872. This date was not chosen randomly. It was St. Andrew's Day, a day of great significance for the Scots. By choosing this date, the organisers aimed to instill a sense of pride and patriotism in the Scottish team and its supporters. As the day edged closer, anticipation grew. The Scots and the English were about to make history. Both teams were eager to showcase their skills and prove their superiority in the sport. There was an air of excitement, but also a sense of uncertainty. After all, this was uncharted territory. Yet despite the unfamiliarity of the situation, the players, the organisers and the fans were all ready to embrace this new chapter in football history. They were about to witness a game that was more than just a match. It was the dawn of a new era in international football. So the stage was set for a historic encounter, the first of its kind, between Scotland and England. On a chilly November day in 1872, history was about to be made. Imagine anticipation in the air. Thousands of spectators had gathered, their breath visible in the crisp air, their hearts beating with excitement. The pitch at the West of Scotland Cricket Club in Partick was about to host a spectacle unlike any other. This was not just another football match. It was the first international football match between two nations, Scotland and England. The players, 22 in total, 11 for each side, braced themselves for the kickoff. They were not just representing their teams, they were representing their countries. The weight of the moment was palpable, the anticipation electric. As the teams lined up, the spectators got their first glimpse at the formations. England, with its classical 2-3-5 formation, was set to dominate the attack, while Scotland, with a more unconventional 2-2-6 formation, focused more on ball control and defence. Then suddenly, the whistle blew, piercing the cold air. The match was underway. Despite the freezing conditions, the players played with a fiery determination. England, in their white kits, and Scotland, in their navy blue, clashed on the field in a thrilling display of strategy and skill. Passes were exchanged, tackles made, and shots fired. The ball danced from one end of the pitch to the other. However, the defences stood resolute, denying any attempt at a goal. The goalkeepers, with their gloves and caps, were the unsung heroes, fending off every shot with determination and grit. The strategies employed by both teams were commendable. Scotland, with their emphasis on keeping possession and thwarting England's attacks, put their unique formation to good use. England, on the other hand, played more aggressively, with their formation allowing them to constantly attack and attempt to through Scotland's defence. but neither could find the back of the net. The match ended as it began, without a single goal scored. A goalless draw. But this was far from a dull affair. The match was a chess game, a battle of wits, to the tactical brilliance of the teams. Despite the lack of goals, the match was a resounding success, marking the beginning of international football. It was a day when football was not just a game, but a unifying force that brought two nations together on a historic day. A day remembered, not for the goals scored, but for the spirit of competition, camaraderie, and the birth of international football. A goalless draw, yet a victory for the sport of football. This paradoxical statement encapsulates the aftermath of the first international football match between Scotland and England in 1872. Despite no goals being scored, the game was anything but a stalemate. It was a triumph that reverberated across the globe, sparking a fascination with the sport that would only grow with time. The public's reaction was immediate and palpable. The match, held at West of Scotland Cricket Club's Hamilton Crescent, drew a crowd of 4,000 spectators, a number unheard of at the time. The press too was abuzz with the historic event. Newspapers across the UK covered the match extensively, with many noting the novelty of an international sporting event and the potential it held for future competitions. This match was more than just a game. It was a catalyst. It demonstrated that football could transcend local and national boundaries, fostering a sense of camaraderie and competition that transcended borders. The success of this inaugural international match led to the establishment of regular fixtures between Scotland and England, and later on, other countries. And the legacy? Well, it's immense. This game paved the way for the creation of the Fédération Internationale de Football Association, or FIFA, in 1904. The international governing body for football, FIFA, now oversees the World Cup, a tournament that captivates billions every 4 years. But it all started with a single match on a blustery November day in Scotland. The first international match between Scotland and England wasn't just a sporting event, it was a seminal moment in the history of the beautiful game. It laid the foundation for international football, transforming a simple pastime into a global phenomenon. It's a testament to the power of sport, the unity it fosters, and the passions it stirs. The first international match between Scotland and England laid the groundwork for the global phenomenon that football is today. It was more than a match. It was the birth of a tradition, a legacy, and a worldwide love for the beautiful game of football.